Sure, sure. Everyone can join. Always a delay on YouTube. Okay. Looks like YouTube is live.
Yeah, sorry, Robin. One thing, just remember there is some echo. So if you can like lower maybe the volume of the YouTube one.
Yes, I muted YouTube. There we go. Okay, so we're live on YouTube and we are, let me just grab this link really quick, make sure we could share to everybody. All right. Okay, looks like a bunch of people are here. So hey, welcome to pTokens Community Call number 6. They're going by so quickly. We have a lot to talk about today, but before we get started, I'm going to introduce everybody. I'll introduce myself and explain a little bit about today's call. I'm Robin, Community and Marketing Manager for pTokens. We also have here our, we got some feedback. We also have here our founder, Thomas Bertani.
Hello, everyone.
We have Head of Operations, Alice Corsini.
Hi.
Our Marketing Manager, Savannah Lee, is here.
Hello, hi, everyone.
And we have a little screen sharing window there that we'll get to shortly to give you guys a sneak peek on some UI. So thank you so much for joining us. As we continue on, we're gonna take a bunch of questions. You can post them in the Q&A section below and we'll get to them at the end of the call. And if you're watching this at a later time on YouTube, you can always comment there, or you could pop into our Telegram channel, which is t.me/ptokens. And we will be happy to take any questions or comments. We also just launched a Discord channel, so I'll share the link in just a bit. If you're unfamiliar with pTokens, we're a cross-chain composability project that enables users to move crypto, any crypto asset across any blockchain. And we're the team behind PBTC, which brings Bitcoin to Ethereum and EOS. And we recently introduced our governance token, the pNetwork token, PNT, to the community. And we just announced the pNetwork DAO, which I believe is the reason everybody's here. So that's probably a great place to start with our news. Alice, if you want to kind of update us with what's happening.
Sure, thank you. So actually, we have been working on a few things since our last community call. Most of our work has been directed towards our Aragon-based pNetwork DAO, due for launch in a few days, currently being audited. And also towards our yield farming program that we have announced just a few minutes before this call, and that we will also mention as a deep dive later on in this call. So in other news, PBTC on EOS has been listed by EOS Argentina on their Evolution DEX. So this is great because it's great to see the EOS DeFi ecosystem growing, and it's great to see PBTC being integrated in a growing number of projects, both on the EOS network and the Ethereum network as well. As Robin mentioned, we have recently introduced our governance token, pNetwork token. PNT is currently listed on a variety of exchanges, including Binance, Bitfinex, HitBTC as centralized exchanges, as well as Loopring and Kyber Network as decentralized exchanges. Recently, we have launched a PNT trading campaign on Binance, where this was for the Binance 3rd anniversary. And there we had allocated 75,000 PNT tokens in rewards for the trading campaign. So this is great. And we actually seen many new users and higher volumes on the exchange for PNT. So it was really great. We have also launched a community-oriented and open source project, which is the Liquid.js library. This is a JavaScript library that we have developed internally and that is now open for anyone to use. And its main feature is that it makes Liquid more flexible, as in it enables everyone to build dApps on the Liquid network. Liquid, for the ones that are not familiar with it, is a Bitcoin-backed sidechain. And basically, a nice feature of this Liquid.js library is also the fact that it facilitates the integration of cross-chain tools within the Liquid network, including pTokens, of course. So stay tuned for an integration with Liquid in the next few months. And finally, Edu has launched a new and a very easy 2 clicks process for anyone who wants to go from Bitcoin to DeFi via pTokens. So basically, this simplifies even further the interaction with pTokens and the pTokenization of Bitcoin within the Edu wallet and DeFi platform. So it's very easy now for anyone to go from Bitcoin into the DeFi ecosystem via pTokens and Edu. So I would say this is all. And we are looking forward to launching and diving more into our Aragon-based DAO and our yield farming program that is also connected to our DAO. So I will pass the microphone to our founder, Thomas, who can give you more details on this.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Alice, for the introduction and for getting the community up to speed to what we have recently been working on. Just a few minutes ago, we have indeed announced the launch of our yield farming, of our first yield farming initiative, which is actually a platform that will enable many initiatives around yield farming. So the first one is going to incentivize the Uniswap pool between PNT and USDT. So this is something that we launch on this platform. This platform is called Steroids. And actually, the reason why it's called like that, I mean, anyone can easily guess, is that basically it enables any pool or any liquidity pool or system as such to to be on steroids. So to basically grow larger for the benefit of the entire ecosystem. In this case, since it's really important for to have a healthy, for example, like market on Uniswap, to have a lot of liquidity within pools. And recently, one similar initiative that has been launched is the Geyser one from Ampliford that some of you may have seen. This is something that was really successful, since they, thanks to that initiative they launched, they could basically get the AMPL with USDT pool on Uniswap to become the biggest on Uniswap in just a few weeks. So right now, that pool holds approximately 25 million USD in value. So that's like the #1 liquidity pool. Actually, I will get the chance at this stage to share my screen so that, yeah, sorry, I will share the screen from a different laptop. So I can share, while I speak, I can show you some of those things. So yeah, just 1 second, almost there. Okay, so something I wanted to show is that if you go on uniswap.info, you can see some statistics around Uniswap, and specifically, let's see if the web page loads. Yeah, specifically, if you look there, like the total liquidity of Uniswap V2, which has been recently launched, is like 96 millions. And like a big part of it is actually within the very first liquidity pool, which, as I said, is the Amplifort one, which is incentivized by something very similar to what we have just launched. So our hope with our yield farming initiative is like to be similarly successful in creating a liquid market around PNT. And this is just a test for us. It's like really an experiment to see if like the community likes it. So if it is successful, what we have done with PNT on steroids can actually be reproduced and used for many other pTokens. So for example, we could do the same for PBTC and for many other pTokens that are about to be launched in the coming weeks. So that's basically our first test, and that's why it lasts just for 1 month. We just want to see, if it is successful, or if there is any need to tweak it, or to change some numbers. And if it turns out to be successful, that's surely something that could last for longer, or where the numbers could be changed according to the market needs. So that's really a test. And I guess, my interpretation of what's going on with the yield farming initiatives in this space is that basically they are all around, all about, creating the right incentives. And we are really in a phase where we are discovering what works and what doesn't as an ecosystem. So that's like our first attempt around, rewards straight after the DAO one. So actually, yeah, it's the second, but it's connected to a different logic. The DAO staking rewards indeed have a very specific goal in mind, which is the one of like getting the community to be involved with the decisions of the pNetwork, so that it can truly be decentralized. And that's like why we incentivize it for the first 2 years. Because while the network gets bootstrapped and grows in value, in total value locked, for instance, it's important to create some incentives so that more and more people get involved while the project grows. When the project will be big enough after a couple of years, those incentives are not as critical, as the project will have reached a given size, and people will just care because maybe they are stakeholders in pTokens, so they care about the having pTokens within their own platforms, or they do hold pTokens, or things like that. So once the market has reached a certain size, those initiatives are not that interesting anymore. But right now, while we are bootstrapping all these different components, it's important to get users to vote within the pNetwork DAO, which is what we incentivize within the DAO. It is important to get people to put liquidity on the Uniswap pool so that PNT can be more liquid. And it's also easier, once the market is more liquid, it's also easier to do price discovery. So it's easy to understand how much PNT may be worth, right? And this is important to measure all the incentives also within the pNetwork, because the PNT is the token that basically the validators need to put at stake for operating as validators. So it's really important that we understand eventually how much PNT may be worth. And it's really not easy to do that unless there is enough liquidity. And one way to incentivize liquidity is the one we are doing, like transparent liquidity on chain means this cannot be tampered with, so everything can check that the liquidity really exists, and everyone can be confident that the price you see there is actually what the market values such token. Like right now, if you look on many centralized exchanges, you will find out that the depth is really small. Like if you want to buy, I don't know, let's say 500,000 tokens of PNT right now, how much do those tokens cost? I have no idea, to be honest, because if you look on order books of centralized exchanges, you will not find any at current prices, not even for buying or selling, because right now the market is still doing price discovery and the liquidity on those markets is really low. So it's important to incentivize liquidity as well, both for pTokens, because that's like what would make our pNetwork successful, and because meaning that people use it and people care, and what makes PNT safer, hence the pNetwork safer, which is like a PNT that we know how much may be worth. So so that's why we are starting with this, and you may not have had time to look into steroids yet, since it has been launched a few minutes ago. But I'm sure you will like have a look after the call. What we have just told you right now is like a short summary of what like it is, what's the reasoning behind it, and what's like it's the future we expect it to have after the first month, which is basically to reiterate over the data we have collected from its early usage. So it will launch along with the DAO. So you can expect it to launch by, say, end of month. That's our target date, along with the DAO launch date. I know many like users from the community keep asking when the DAO will exactly launch. The DAO is currently being audited, so we don't really know the exact date, but we are targeting end of month, as I said, which means that basically we have no reasons at this stage to believe there will be any delay. So we are on track, and we expect to release it by end of month. So what I want to do next in the rest of the call, before starting to see if there are questions or taking any additional question, is explaining how our DAO is going to look like. So I will show you some like functionalities, some basic functionalities of the DAO, how it looks like, and the main components. So I've seen one question from the audience just now, and someone was asking if our DAO is based on Aragon. So as you can easily see from the screen I'm sharing right now, there are 2 tabs out of 3 with the name Aragon on top. So that was a good guess. Yes, it's based on Aragon. And now I will show you like an example. Now we are still reiterating on some DAO components, not on the backend. Like the critical part of the DAO is basically the smart contracts. So the smart contracts are finalized, and these smart contracts are the ones that are being audited. Now, what we are doing is basically tweaking in these last few days the UX and the UI, so that using the DAO is going to be easier and easier over time, and hopefully we'll be able to upgrade that over time, so that the using the DAO is can be done in a simple way. So so that's going to be an Aragon DAO. So for those of you who don't know, Aragon is like a framework for building decentralized autonomous organizations, and that's been around for a while, and it has been built. It has taken a very long time to build it for obvious reasons, and those reasons are basically that it's really complex and it has many components. So, for instance, some things that Aragon enables is like defining roles and permissions between different components of a DAO, extending a DAO, and being able to, they basically define a standardized way for the different components to interact. So why is it important? Well, for several reasons. One reason, which is critically important, is that the things you see on the left here, which basically are what constitutes the DAO, are the apps. So the apps are the main components that provide user-facing functionalities within DAO. And given the framework Aragon provides, it's easy to reuse some of those components that have been previously built by other teams for common needs and that have been previously audited. So what does it mean? Well, that basically for all the functionalities we need that are, say, standard, we can reuse components that have been built and battle tested for a long time by other teams. So what we had to do in this context was basically understand how we wanted the DAO to initially look like and what other non-standard components we needed within the DAO. So I will show you like the entire thing shortly, but above all, what I think is most interesting is the non-standard components we had to build, which is basically the p.Network DAO apps that live along with the other apps that you can find on most Aragon DAOs. Like ours is quite different because of those apps, basically. And that's what we have been focusing on. And that's what we are working on auditing. So just 1 second. Okay. So as I said, the UX is something that we are still reiterating on. So if there is any feedback you have on something that you see during this call that you think should look different or should be done differently, you know, that's a great way to start getting involved, which is something that like we would like to see users increasingly do once the DAO is launched. Because, you know, the DAO is something that will continuously evolve depending on the feedback and the decisions of the DAO. So the DAO will have the possibility to decide with the current rules how it should change, if any change is needed, which is what makes it like a very special beast, right? It's not a common, it's not something common that you can easily see anywhere else, really. It's like a transparent company-like structure, which has no central point. So it's not that we will not like force decisions. You know, our role as a team, as a founding team, our initial role is the one of basically make proposals. So initially we will be the only ones making proposals because we are the ones that know the project the best. And at some point we will make a very special proposal, which is asking the community if they think we should extend the like permission to start proposals to the entire community or to someone else, to some specific subsets of the community. I mean, those kinds of decisions are what will basically make the governance of the system and the governance, not just of the DAO itself, but also of the entire pNetwork. So let me show you like some apps. As I said, here on the left, you can see, I think you can see my cursor, right? Yes. So here on the left, you can see some apps. There are some standard apps, such as tokens and finance, for example, that you can see in most like Aragon DAOs. Finance, for instance, is like that's a brand new DAO we have just started for showing it in this call. So there may be some pieces you know, missing or still empty, because this is like we are doing many tests, and this is just a recent one we have just bootstrapped for showing it. So maybe, I mean, in this call we should also have Alessandro, if I'm not wrong. So if Alessandro is listening, it would be great if you could send some like ETH or some funds to the DAO, so we can show that basically the finance app is the main tool that you use to manage the finances of the DAO. So the funds that the DAO has available for its own use. And those funds may be given by inflation, they may be given by several things. I mean, initially, it may even not have funds, right? So initially, there will be some funds there. So there may be proposals saying, let's spend those money to do X. And those money are not the tokens at stake, of course. Like when you stake tokens, as you will see shortly, those are not something the DAO can spend. These are just there to prove that you have done like something expensive. You have like done something expensive in order to participate into the DAO, and that you know, once you exit, of course, you get them back. But it's like a commitment. So that's what the finance app does. So there is not much to show here other than the transfers and the balances. The DAO doesn't have any money right now. It may have shortly if Alessandro manages to send the transaction. The UX, I've seen there are some initial feedback on the how the DAO looks like. So let me explain something. Like this is something called the Aragon DApp. So this is the main component of Aragon, and this is something provided by Aragon itself. That's not something we have designed as like a UX. What we have designed is the UX and UI just of the apps that we have built, which are the rewards app, the staking app, steroids, and some modifications to voting. So those apps basically the bottom right part of the page, like this one, this is what constitutes the app. All what you see around, like this frame and the sidebar showing the apps, all those kind of components, these are built by Aragon, and there is no way to change them, basically. We could potentially change them if we were to provide a different website to access the DAO, and we may eventually do that. For instance, for those who use the Edu wallet, there will be an integration where they will be able to basically, check out the DApp from a mobile device in a handy fashion without needing to use MetaMask. But for those who use MetaMask or any other wallet, they can just use this DApp. It works fine for all Aragon DAOs, so I'm sure it will do it also for us initially. Then if we want to, have a better UX or anything like that, we can like improve it, and we can host it on a different website. The reason why we decided not to start with that is that we don't want to create centralized pieces of infrastructure. Like this Aragon UX this is on testnet right now. That's not the mainnet one, but this Aragon UX is something that basically anyone can start on their own laptop locally with open source code. So this is not something on which you need to trust Aragon. You can just download their code, check it out, start it on your machine, and basically you will have the exact same interface. And indeed, if you look on the top here, you will see in the URL, there are some references. Those references are the references to the smart contracts that define the DAO. So all the information that the DAO is displaying here are basically fetched from decentralized pieces of infrastructure, which are namely IPFS, that is hosting the web page content, and smart contracts on Ethereum. So both of those can be transparently audited by anyone. They can't really be censored by anyone, and they are a great starting point, in my opinion, for what a DAO should be. So I think the Aragon team has done an amazing job so far. So as you see, we have, thanks Alessandro, we have received some initial funds in ETH in that case. So these are funds at disposal of the DAO, and there may be votes saying we want to spend those funds to do something, things like that. Okay, let's move forward to more interesting pieces. The main one you will be interacting with is called the Staking Manager. So the Staking Manager is a DApp we have built. So if you want to blame us for terrible UX or interface, that's the moment to do it, because that has been entirely built by us. So that component you see here on the right, just this part in the dark gray area, this is basically the Staking Manager front end, the interface, and this has been built based off the Aragon components. Like Aragon provides, for instance, those buttons, those styles, these boxes, all these components are based off Aragon, and that's so that you can have, as a user, a unified experience across apps, and you don't see a weird app that has a given UX UI, and then a different one that has a completely separate this distinct one. So how does the Staking Manager work? Basically, the Staking Manager lets you connect. Well, you connect a wallet. Right now, I have connected my MetaMask wallet. So as you can see, my MetaMask wallet, I have just 2 tokens right now. That's in testnet. So I have approximately half ETH that I will be using to send transactions, and I have some PPP. So these PPP are just some testnet PNT tokens. So this is the equivalent of PNT on mainnet. It's called differently, just to remind that this is not mainnet. You are on testnet here. This is not their money. This is just a DAO being showcased on testnet. So when you see PPP in the context of this video, on mainnet, this will be the PNT, the pNetwork token. So as you can see here, there are some information that are redundant on purpose, so that things are more clear. So let me show you how it works. Basically, right now this DAO is pretty much empty because we have just started it. So at moment 0, our mainnet DAO will not be like that, because as I said at the beginning, there will be some PNTs at stake already. So that's something that will look slightly different. So sorry, 1 second, let me move this around. Okay, so the first thing you do is like staking. So you click on stake and it says stake your tokens. So in order to do that, you need PNT. And here, I mean, keep in mind the values you see on testnet are not always the same that you see on mainnet. So in this case, it says keep in mind that you cannot unstake them for 1 week. Okay, that's the same limitation we have on mainnet for security reasons, so people cannot just enter, cast a vote, and exit with a bunch of PNT and manipulate votes. So enter the amount here. So let's say I put 50 PNT. You see here there is an advanced checkbox. If you tick it, you are able to do advanced things. For example, you may specify a longer time lock in case you wanted, for different reasons, to lock them within the DAO for a longer period of time. That's the minimum that's allowed. The receiver, which in this case is my test address, as you can see, that's my address on MetaMask. This matches. But why is it possible to edit this field? Well, basically because you may want to put PNTs in the DAO on behalf of someone else. So that's an advanced feature that lets you do it. But let's say that we go with the standard feature. So you put them in the DAO, you do stake, and this creates a transaction. So let's confirm. And then I think you don't see it because I've just shared my browser window. But just to tell you what's going on, MetaMask has popped up. And basically, I'm confirming the transaction right now. So, okay. 1 second, I'm increasing the. Okay, I have confirmed on MetaMask. Now I've seen, unfortunately, the Ring-V testnet was like unusually slow today. So let's see if transactions go through quickly. As you can see here on the top right corner, you see transactions activities. Like in this case, there is a pending transaction. So you know you have done an action and we are waiting for it to be completed. And normally, before clicking on that bell, you will see a small number next to it, so that you know there is a notification reminding you that you haven't read something. In this case, something saying that there is a pending transaction. So we need to wait for the transaction to get confirmed. That's the transaction on Etherscan. We don't care. Let's wait. Hopefully, it will get confirmed quickly. I see my balance has decreased, which is a good sign. Yeah, let's wait. So what's going on now is that basically the smart contract of the staking manager is receiving my PNT and will basically put them in a safe place called the vault within the DAO. And all the PNTs at stake within the DAO will go within that vault, and they will safely stay there. Once it happens, at the moment the transaction is confirmed, which unfortunately is taking ages, and hopefully it will not always take ages, this will issue some DAO PNT. Here on testnet, they are called PPP, so DAO PPP. These DAO PNT tokens, they are basically issued one-to-one with the PNT I put at stake. And these are basically some tokens that are not transferable. So initially, we'll see later, we may make them transferable. Maybe the DAO will choose accordingly. But right now, initially, they will not be transferable. So you see them in your wallet. And basically, they represent the amount of PNT you have put in the DAO. And they represent your voting power, basically, within the DAO. So they are like a marker that is really useful to understand what's going on. In the meantime, maybe if I can ask Alessandro to send me a couple of Ring-V ETH on my address, it would be ideal. I don't know if he has the address. If not, please text me. Basically, what's happening right now is that the transaction has not been confirmed yet. So we still have to wait, unfortunately. Once it happens, we'll get the DAO PVP, and it will be shown here. So here you see some statistics, that DAO stats. They show the total PVP, like at stake. Here there is a typo, sorry about that. At stake in the DAO, which like right now is 0. So if Alessandro wants to play on the DAO with me, he could stake some. So we will see also his stake. And here you will see, like, once my transaction gets confirmed, you will see like the equivalent amount of PNT I put inside the DAO. So here there is the history. So that's basically the main staking app. Since it's taking ages to confirm, I will move on. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to do like just everything unless PVP are issued. So what I want to show you is that here we have Steroids app that, as we have just announced, will manage a similar process, but for staking not PVP tokens or not PNT tokens, but like UniV2 tokens, which are basically the tokens of the liquidity pool on Uniswap for the PNT USDT pair. So even in that case, you will be able to issue DAO PNT, which basically give you the opportunity to participate into the DAO and to be eligible for the rewards. So the rewards is another app that basically tells you what's going on. So let's see if the rewards app loads. So here, unfortunately, it's not loading some numbers now. Let's see if in a previous, actually, this is a previous deployment I have. That's not the latest version, but I can show you here so you understand how it would look like. So let's say, let me connect MetaMask. Okay. Yeah, okay, great. Let's use the old version. I mean, that's not the latest, so some things have changed already, but this shows you like how it would normally look like. So here I had staked some tokens already. So you see that there is a total of 1,065 PNT within the DAO, and my part is 55, which makes my voting power 5.16% of the total. So this basically shows my influence within the votes of the DAO. And here there is like a reminder for my wallet holdings, which of course I could just check on MetaMask, right? But just for convenience, they are shown here. And what I see is the PVP I have in my wallet. So these are the ones left, not the ones in the DAO. And here there are the ones in the, like the receipt for the ones I have in the DAO. So this shows me that, of course, I will have the same numbers of the PVP tokens at stake in the DAO. So I have 55 in the DAO and 55 DAO PVP in my wallet. So here, differently than the other version I was showing you, the minimum time lock for staking was 5 minutes, not 7 days, as we would have in production. So don't mind these 5 minutes you see here. Normally it will be 1 week, but for testing, you know, it's just more convenient to make it last longer. So here below, you see the history of the deposits I've made in the DAO. And basically when I see unlocked, it just means that basically I can withdraw them, I can unstake them at any time, because the 7 days have passed for all my deposits. So I can just do, you know, if I want, unstake and get some of those tokens out and increase or diminish my stake within the DAO. So that's the staking manager. Now let me show you, like, and as you can see in the finance app here, and the other one we had, there were also some PPP, which may be the case also for us, right? In the actual mainnet DAO. So let me show you the, 1 second. So this is a staking manager. So this app is the one called Rewards. So for the Rewards app, this is how it's going to look like. This was an older version where we called it voting rewards. Now we have just renamed it to rewards for convenience, but I will show you here how it would look like. Basically, let's assume they are in the situation of this DAO. This DAO is at the end of the first so-called epoch. So the epoch is like a period lasting 2 weeks. And here you would say, oh, like basically, what's the status? Like how long you need to wait for the epoch to finish. And now this is terminated, meaning it's finished. So here I didn't have any DAO PvP during that epoch. So it's saying that basically I hadn't really participated. And the estimated reward indeed is 0. Here, those numbers, of course, are fake. They were just for testing, but as you can see, that's the logic. That's how it's going to look like, and it's similar to the one you see here, right? And basically here it's the panel you have to see, you know, how many tokens you're going to receive with the current epoch if you keep voting and you keep actively participating. And for each of these epochs, what you can do is like participate into voting. So to do that, there is like a voting app. So the voting app here, this is brand new, as I said. So there will be some votes. Let's see here if there are some dummy votes. Okay, these are really like for example, this is vote number 2. If you click on it, you see, for example, that unfortunately no one has voted to this one. As I said, this was a test. So what does it mean? If no one votes, by default, the proposal doesn't pass. So it said the status rejected because the proposal has expired and no one has voted. So here you see that the minimum approval we needed to have was 51%, and the relative support was 51%, meaning that we needed at least 51% of the voters to agree to vote yes for the proposal to pass and to be considered valid, and at least in this case 51% of the DAO stakers to vote for the vote to be able to be considered valid, like that's the quorum, let's say. So there will be several votes, as you can see here, and basically if you happen to vote, like this was another vote, here the description is dummy, but of course here there will be a very detailed description explaining the proposal in depth, and you know, so you will have all the material needed to evaluate the proposal and decide what you want to vote, if you want to vote yes or no or anything else. And once you have voted you know, all votes in the epoch, at least all votes but one, then you will be able to, basically you will be eligible for the rewards that are locked for 1 year and they are paid in PNT. And so yeah, it's important to basically stay up to date. And for those who are interested, we will release more details, but basically the tokens that are used to understand how much reward you get are the ones you have at the beginning when votes open and when the epoch finishes. So what does it mean? That basically you shouldn't really enter vote with some tokens and then exit the DAO, because that's not beneficial in any way really. And since you don't know when votes are gonna be started, and like the, you know, trick of basically putting tokens 1 week in advance, voting to a given vote we may want to manipulate and exit doesn't work. So that's what we want to prevent basically. So the number of tokens that actually are considered is the minimum of the ones that were available in DAO PPP. So in DAO PNT available when the DAO, when the vote is started, but and it's basically the minimum between those balances you have when votes have been opened and the end of the epoch. So that's actually sounds harder than what it is, because the reality is that if you don't, let's give an example. Let's say that you never change in a given epoch your tokens, then that's the number you should consider. Let's assume you decrease the numbers. So you start withdrawing over the epoch some tokens. At the end of the epoch, you have the minimum number of tokens in the epoch, so that number will be the one used for the calculation. Let's assume you increase it. That's the same. You will get the minimum number you had at any given vote. But of course, if you increase it, when the next epoch starts, let's say there is a vote, you will still have the updated number. So Yeah, unfortunately, Rinkeby is terrible today for testing. I have more eats, so let's try again, maybe to send a transaction since the previous one has timed out. So I will try one last time to like stake some tokens. I've just explained how it works anyway, but it was nicer to have a look, you know. So so let's see. Sorry, let me refresh. Okay, staking manager, connect account, MetaMask, connected, stake, 50, stake. Okay, never mind. Apparently this doesn't seem to work right now. So let me try on the old one. So I have 55 tokens. Let's try to stake 45, stake, create transactions. Okay, now it's asking me to sign. So let me put a very high fee. One sec. Yeah, I can see the transaction, the gas price on Rinkeby is like higher than what we have on mainnet almost. So on mainnet, actually, it should be much more deterministic. Testnets are normally not as stable as the mainnet one as for mining. So let's see what happens now. I've just staked some. Oh, you see, it just worked now. So my stake has increased from 55 to 100 because I've added 45. So you see my distribution here says how much of my stake is currently locked compared to the one that is unlocked. So the unlocked part is 55%. I have 100, so it was 55 tokens because, you know, the minimum time lock has already passed, so I can unstake them at any time. So as you can see here, those are all unlocked, and these are the 55 tokens that are unlocked, while 45 are currently locked, as you can see here, and they will be for, I mean, yeah, that's rounded, so that's 5 minutes and something, but it will go down over time, and in like 5 minutes it will be unlocked. So right now, if I try to unstake tokens, I can unstake up to 55%, but in 5 minutes I will be able to unstake 100 if I wanted to. And with those tokens, I can potentially, you know, go, let's say I want to vote. Let's see if there is any voting proposal that is opened. No, these are all closed votes. Yeah, there is no vote that is currently open, so there is like no vote I can cast, but normally basically you would go within a vote. Sorry, wrong tab. You will go within a given vote, and you would vote yes or no. So actually, this is a vote I did, like, when was it? It should be written. Okay, the vote passed on the 20th at 2 p.m. and I voted yes with 46 DAO PVP. So that's a vote I did in the past. As you can see, for each vote you cast, it will tell you how many tokens you have voted with, which is sort of useful because we don't want people to cheat by, you know, temporarily buying tokens. So there are several measures in place to avoid that from happening. Okay, so this has been a first look at the DAO. Maybe let's look for a second. Okay, yeah, without votes there is not much I can do, and the votes, the voting proposals are opened by our team right now. That's just to prevent you know, proposals like spamming or things like that. But over time, we will give up that control. So right now, basically, the proposals are started by us, but anyone can vote, and we are commit to those answers, while to whatever the community chooses. While going forward, we will gradually give control to the DAO. So the DAO will also be able to like control the fee of the p.Network. It will be able to control like the some token economy arguments, other than the ones that may compromise its security, of course. And you know, the DAO will basically have a lot of power, and it will enable like decentralized governance over the p.Network. I think I can temporarily stop the screen sharing, and we can see if there is any question maybe. So actually, I see a bunch of questions. So yeah, sorry, just give me 1 second to read through the questions. So I will quickly read some, so don't be offended if we just go quickly through some of them or if I don't answer to all of them, but we try to stick to approximately 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. So I will try to like spend up to 10 minutes, I would say, to answer to those questions. Of course, if there are more, we can always answer in our Discord channel, in our Telegram channels, or Twitter, whatever. So where do you see PNT in the next 6 months in terms of market cap? What position will be in DeFi token ranks? Okay, I have no idea. So that's like, I think nobody knows right now how much those tokens are worth. And we are in a price discovery phase. So it will take some time to understand, and how much those tokens could be worth. They may be massively overvalued or undervalued. And the reality is that initiatives like the one we are promoting of steroids that incentivize liquidity is actually, they do help significantly to do price discovery. So they help people to have a reason to put money where their mouth is. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give. I think time will tell, but above, especially the market. So another question. The majority of the project, oh, sorry, oh no, here we go. The majority of the project seems to be developed with JavaScript. With such a technology to be able to cope with high transaction throughput compared against C++, would having the trusted execution environment running on personal computer be an asset towards the network security? Okay, so thankfully, what's written there in the question is wrong because the project is mostly not written in JavaScript. So so JavaScript is like a language on basically I would say it's the web, the internet language is what most websites are powered by, and this is what like dApps are powered by. So you're right in saying that, for instance, this website of Aragon and the app front end, like the interface, they are written in JavaScript. But that's not like a scalability issue at all, because basically this is executed on each locally on the machine of everyone that accesses the dApp. So this is not a bottleneck in any way. And that's what the internet is actually sort of encouraging. All websites are written like that. And that's like the pNetwork core pTokens and all the base components where bottlenecks may be are actually not written in JavaScript, but they're written in Rust, which is a great language for, it has nice properties that facilitate auditing, for example, and comprehension of what's written there. So they are good, like performance-wise, they can be compared to C and C++. So it's similar in like performance compared to lower level languages, but it's like more modern. So it makes it easier for developers not to make mistake while writing complex code. And I mean, while the pNetwork as like an approach tries to be as simple as possible because complexity and security don't go well together, at the same time, like our code base is significantly large. So try to imagine like the code base size of some of our like competitors or of other projects that are much more complex. So those code bases are just huge. So it's really, really complex to audit them in an accurate way completely. So basically choosing Rust was, in my opinion, a good compromise to basically keep things low level enough for them to be efficient, but also high level looking so that they can easily be audited and understood by whoever wants to read that code for understanding the security guarantees. So okay, I've answered to that. Can you elaborate on liquidity pools? I guess this question is around steroids. So the way steroids work is that basically there are basically 3 steps. So the first step is you have PNT, you put them at stake, not sorry, yeah, not at stake. You put them in the liquidity pool on Uniswap of PNT with USDT. So that's a specific liquidity pool. You just go on the Uniswap interface and do add liquidity. So you add liquidity on PNT and USDT, and you get a token representing your participation into the liquidity pool of Uniswap. That token is called UniV2. This UniV2 token, you can then go on like the Steroids hub here in the DAO once it will be launched. It will have a similar interface to the one of the staking manager, but you will be able to stake not just PNT, which you can do directly via the staking manager, but you can also stake like your UniV2 tokens, which they sort of contain some PNTs, right? Because they give you the right to get your liquidity out of PNT at any time. So the amount of PNT your UniV2 represents will vary over time depending on market condition and on Uniswap condition. So you are not as like exposed to the fluctuations of price of PNT as with the normal staking manager. It's like a different kind of involvement. If you like trust PNT will go up, for instance, you may want to just use the staking manager. While if you're not entirely sure, but want to benefit anyway from like the rewards we provide within the DAO and within Steroids, you could choose this second option, which is like a little less exposed to PNT, meaning that if the PNT increases in USDT, you don't make as much money, you don't earn as much as by just keeping PNT. But the opposite is also true. Like if PNT goes down in value, you don't lose as much money compared to just holding PNT. So it's your choice, right? Depending on if you want to hedge a little bit against the price of PNT and USDT, you may want to do it via Steroids. Otherwise, you can do it directly. When you do it with Steroids, basically, what you're doing, as I said, you put liquidity in PNT and USDT within the pool on Uniswap. You get the UniV2 token out. You put that at stake within Steroids, and this Steroids is basically becomes your gateway to the DAO. It's the gate you have to use that Uniswap participation to join the DAO, and you get DAO PPP, DAO PNT. You can vote. So assuming you vote, you will get both the reward of the DAO for voting and for rewarding active participation, and the reward from Steroids. So that's similar to what Amplifort, as I said, is doing with Geyser. So if you're interested to understand better, you can look at Geyser as well. Our blog post it like explains what I just said a little bit better. But something I wanted to say is that if you know Geyser or look into Geyser from Amplifort, ours is slightly different because differently than Geyser, Steroids, it also lets you into the DAO. So you get twice the rewards. You get both, and you also have the voting capabilities within the DAO. So you get the voting rights. So you can both vote in the DAO and get like participate into the DAO while putting liquidity in Uniswap. So you can both benefit Uniswap liquidity pool for PNT and you can avoid missing out on the DAO, because normally, let's say you have, I don't know, 1000 PNT, you will need to choose, do I put it in the liquidity pool on Uniswap or do I put it in the DAO? Well, basically Steroids enables you to do both at the same time, but it will lower your exposure to PNT. So if you want to basically long PNT, I would recommend basically just to use the normal staking manager, while if you're not entirely sure you want to long PNT, something lower risk is to use Steroids. That's basically where you are exposed to the fluctuation of PNT, but not as much. Okay, let's go on. I will go quicker because I think I'm taking too much time to answer to some of those questions. So I will skip some questions just to go more quickly. Like, where do you see the value of your token? I have already answered. When the staking starts, how long I have to took my tokens so I can stake them anytime or not? So every time you put tokens within the DAO, you can you have a time lock for that specific deposit of a week. After the week has passed, you can withdraw them at any time. Why did you not build your own staking platform but inherited from Aragon? I think I explained it very well initially at the beginning of the conversation, where we showcased how Aragon works. But shortly, basically Aragon is more flexible and it's safer to reuse some of their components instead of reinventing the wheel and restarting from scratch to reinvent components that already exist. So what we have done is basically for enhancing the security of the DAO, we have reused 50% of it, and the other 50% we have written by making those custom apps, which are basically our staking manager, steroids, and modification of the voting app, and rewards. These are the main modifications, the additions we did. And these are the pieces that are getting audited. So these tokens can be staked on this DAO and provide liquidity to the Uniswap pool at the same time. Yes, as I said, via steroids. This can be done, and you would earn rewards from both the DAO and the steroids yield farming campaign. Another question: there is no risk of there is no risk of a group of stakers having too much vote power and monopolizing decisions. Good question. So there's a question saying, like, can a single voter like decide everything? And I mean, for those of you who have followed the upgrade of the EDO token to PNT last month, that's exactly what we wanted to fix before doing the upgrade. And what we did is basically destroying the vast majority of tokens held by the company, so that we couldn't manipulate decisions within the governance. So that's exactly the reason why today this problem, you say, doesn't exist anymore, because the tokens in control of the company are a minority, and on the market you can find more tokens than the ones the company has. So there is no single player who can monopolize decisions and just decide everything independently, because there is no single holder with 51% or nothing even close. So that's not possible. But the only way you can avoid like a single player to influence too much is actually by playing your role, which is to actively participate into the DAO. So to care and follow the developments and vote within proposals. Basically voice your opinion within the pNetwork DAO, which is exactly the reason why we give the rewards. It's not because it's Christmas. It's not. We are giving out the rewards because we want you to participate and to help the pNetwork to be decentralized. I mean, we have seen way too many projects who claim to be decentralized, and then they are not open source. They don't have decentralized decision making, all this kind of stuff. So we are all tired of this bullshit, I guess. So let's try to get this right in small steps, and I think this is a great first step to get it started in practice. So another question: is it possible to unstake or schedule an unstake of the token? Well, right now, scheduling the unstake is not possible directly via the DAO, but it will be possible via an external smart contract. So you could have your own smart contract that basically gets triggered after some time and automatically unstakes it. So yeah, it's possible in principle. It's not built into the DAO right now. It may be in the future if there is enough demand. But I think that one advantage of using Aragon, which is standard, well-known interface, and of writing with the technology stack we have chosen, is that basically smart contracts work great for composability. So interacting from one contract to the other, and specifically with the DAO, is trivial, because we you can just call some functions and do that from your own contract. So there is another question: should be participation price certain PNT? Well, there is a nice suggestion, which is that we could have some rewards for people joining this course. I think people should join this call just to understand better how to vote within the pNetwork. So this is like one incentive already, but there may be from time to time that's something we will think about. There may be some incentives in the future maybe to join this course, and the best way to know if this is going to happen is basically to join the current course. So good job in having joined ours, like this course. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So there is another question. Who uses the Edu wallet? Do they have a direct link in the app? Well, we are doing an integration within the Edu wallet. I mean, some people in the call may not know that like a sister company of ours that is using the PNT token as well, so we consider it being part of the p.Network, is the ADO wallet. And this is a mobile wallet that is being used by tens of thousands of users. So I guess a significant part of users may want to vote from there. And indeed, there will be an interface to do it from there. So you don't need to worry, and you will be able to vote from within the app without having to use your laptop. And you will be able to choose basically if you want to use the DApp as everyone else, like the one I've just shown in this call, or if you want to use like the direct interface from within the ADO. So other questions? Will you allow Ledger's users to sign in the platform? So as you can see here, I think I'm still screen sharing. Am I? Let me check. Yeah, I'm still.
Yes, you are still. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks. So if you click on connect account, you see that here there are many options. Actually, there will be more. That's a common shared effort with Aragon. Like if they add functionalities to interact with Ledger or any other device, it will be possible from here. We will actually contribute to Aragon ourselves, so that there will be some nice additions for all DAOs on Aragon, including ours. And one thing we could do is to do it from Ledger. So yes, if you use Ledger, you don't really need to worry. I'm not super familiar with Frame and Portis myself, to be honest. So maybe it's already possible. I'm not entirely sure. But if it is not possible, you can check if Aragon supports connection with Ledger. If it doesn't, I'm sure it can be added in and someone will do it. If no one does and there is enough community demand, we will do it. If you would like to stake using our cold wallet, will it be possible to connect to the staking manager without transferring them? Well, you need to put them at stake, so you need to transfer them they end up in the DAO, but they can be withdrawn by the address who have interacted with from the DAO. So something you can do is like, well, something that we are starting to organize. I cannot anticipate much in this call, unfortunately. Hopefully, maybe in the next one I will be able to, but there will be some opportunities to delegate voting. So if you want to keep everything in cold storage, including the key that can withdraw the tokens, but you care about voting, you can delegate someone else to vote on your behalf. So that's a possibility. I will take just other up to 3 questions. So I will start with the ones that are already here. So one is, where are the information on token distribution and release schedule vesting? So this information are actually, the token distribution is well explained in the documents you find on p.Network/learn. So for instance, you find them in the light paper, you find them in the deck, and yeah, so have a look. There are several documents where the token distribution is well explained. And we have started 1 month ago with over 7,000 token holders, because this was an upgrade over an existing EDO token that has been around since 2017, but that didn't have anything to do with the p.Network. So we didn't want to do a new ICO or anything like that. We just decided to basically upgrade an existing token that was already being actively used by the user base of ADO, which will serve as a great initial use base for the p.Network and pTokens. And basically, there will be many synergies going forward. So if you have a look at the document or at the blog posts explaining the ADO and pToken synergies, there is more on that. And you can also find information on some specific documents you find on p.network/learn, where we have explained well the reasoning behind the upgrade of the token and the synergies with the ADO project and p.Network. So the ADO project we have welcomed within the p.Network, and we will work together a lot. And we have reused their token because we didn't want to issue a new one. So most information are available there. If you have more questions, we're happy to answer. But once tokens will be in the DAO, everything will be transparently visible, including lock times and all this kind of information for everyone. So actually, in the DAO, we start with approximately 29 million PNT at stake, out of 60 approximately million total. So approximately 50% of the tokens in existence of PNT will be within the DAO. So that's a huge number. And most of them are locked for approximately 1 year, or from 6 months to 1 year. Some are locked even for 2 years. So there are basically different lock times, but most of the majority of those tokens get unlocked from, say, 1 to 2 years. And they are in the hands of like several hundreds of users, even the ones in the DAO initially. So they are not centralized in the hands of few. What is the timeline to phase 1 decentralization? We will update on this as we are doing some good progress. And actually something we are thinking is to bootstrap like something in between phase 0 and phase 1, since we have had some new ideas that would enable like phase 0.5 to basically facilitate phase 1. So not to slow down the development of phase 1, but still to reach many of the properties like multi-node and everything from phase 1 much earlier. So we will keep you posted in the following weeks. Right now we are focused like most of our efforts in launching the DAO. Straight after that, we will focus on that part. Yeah, I think I've answered to all questions. I don't know if there is any last last minute question before we sum up. Yeah, I think this was it. So
yeah, I think
does anyone Robin, maybe you want to share some closing thoughts or add anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say, if well, first I'd like to thank the pTokens team. I want to thank everyone for attending and watching here on Zoom, watching on YouTube and Telegram, and our new Discord server. I put all the links to those channels in the chat, and you'll be able to see it also at the bottom of the YouTube video, which will be available after this live stream ends. We'll be doing these community calls every couple weeks, as we have. So just keep an eye out. We'll always have some inside details and news here. And I think that's it. There's no other questions. So thank you guys.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.